program is hosted by the Pollock Krasner House and Study Center in East Hampton, New York. And each month we have a virtual art cafe where we have different topics that are relevant to working artists in all disciplines. And we have a time for open sharing with the intention that this will inspire creativity. Today, we're going to do something different in our virtual cafe. I've invited participants to share an artist who inspires you. And so I will start off. I'm the education coordinator at the Pollock House. I'm also an artist myself. And I'm going to share the work of my best friend, Lenore Bingham. But to be honest with you, I'm not sharing her work because she's my best friend. I'm sharing her work because she truly inspires me. Lenore Bingham lives in Portland, Oregon. And she, for many years, her and her husband have run a successful restaurant in Portland. And she also had her own facialist business. And during the shutdown from COVID, of course, her business was put on hold as a facialist, and she closed that business. And of course, the restaurant was struggling, and her husband was running the restaurant solo, so she had time. So she started painting full time. My friend Lenore always painted and drew ever since I knew her as a child. And she had this unique way of drawing where it was almost like Chagall, where she would draw these figures in sort of like almost a fairy tale fantasy-like setting in almost a naive style. And eventually, she's arrived at also this abstract expressionist technique. But the reason I chose Lenore Bingham is because, number one, and I'm going to just go to her website quickly. She is like, it's unbelievable how she just paints all the time, like every day. It's like, where do these images come from? Where do these colors come from? I'm like astounded. And I always tell her, like, you're amazing. And I'm not just saying it because she's my friend. It's so varied. It's so fresh. It's so spontaneous. She uses a technique where she'll apply the color, and then sometimes she actually uses bleach to eliminate color or scrape back into it or spray. And sometimes, like images like this one, you see a representational image like of a bird here. And the mark making can become very, very intricate with like these little dashes or these little circles, as you see these like very, very minute patterns. But at the same time, in like a work like this, it's very open and expressive, like the abstract expressionist, right? You could see the artist's mark. But what also amazes me about her work is her sense of color. It's just like outstanding. I'm like, where do you get these colors from? And like Pollock, she has no plan in mind, right? And this one I love. It reminds me of Lee Krasner because it sort of looks like leaves or flesh. And I just think it's incredibly beautiful. And the other thing that impresses me about Lenore is that she just moves ahead and like decides she wants to sell her art, winds up in a group exhibition in New York City. Now she's represented by Agora Gallery in New York City. And she also has, she's part of a gallery in Portland. And she also does art fairs, which are, it's a lot of work, but she's selling her work. And here's a little video. Her Instagram is like amazing also. So I'm just like astounded at the level of, what's the word for it? Not just tenacity, but enthusiasm, right? And just the outpouring of creativity, but then to go to the next level to say, I'm going to sell my art and actually take the steps to make that happen. So yay for Lenore Bingham. And that's my friend who totally inspires me. Okay. Any questions? Okay, now it's your turn. So I'm really going to enjoy being surprised or to see who and why you chose the work. So I'm going to go back to the screen share. And let's start with Sohair. Sohair, yeah. Go ahead, Sohair. Do you want to unmute and tell us the name of the artist and
Yeah, I have actually. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. I love Cézanne. He's one of my favorite artists, and he inspires me a lot. Unfortunately, I mean, the quality of the photo is not very good, so I can't see all the colors. But the way he uses the colors, the way he does the abstract, the cubism, it fascinates me. If you if you go to the National Gallery in London and download this photo, you will see how many colors in the face itself. There is green, purple, blue, red, so many colors. And the same thing also, I mean, at the background. I tried to imitate it many times, but I was completely unsuccessful.
How
And
did you try to imitate it, Sohair? Was it through copying one of his paintings or just using his style?
his style, because I'd like to learn how to layer the colors the same way he does it, because the way I see it, whether it's upright or not, it's layers on layers on layers. And especially for the background, he has a picture, a painting as well, the boy with a red waistcoat. If you see the color, I mean, on that painting, there is so many colors, and the way he puts them together is amazing. I'd
Yeah,
like,
well,
I'd like to do something like that.
okay. I have a recommendation, if you don't
Mhm.
mind. Because I once had this assignment when I was in art college.
Mhm.
Why don't you take one of your favorite paintings, and you can do a detail of it and copy it, because this will help you look very carefully at how he uses color, and it will challenge you to mix colors and really examine it in a much slower, more detailed way. Okay.
Okay.
When I did it of the apples, and I actually enlarged them, but you could do a detail so you really look close up. How does that sound?
I'll give it a try and I'll show it to you.
Yeah, amazing artist, and thank you for choosing Cézanne.
Thank
Cézanne
you.
is considered a post-impressionist, and Cézanne is an artist that when you're in art school, you study Cézanne a lot, because he is a master at creating form, right, with color. It looks so three-dimensional, right? But it's not modeling and shading. It's very modern at the same time. Great artist. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, wait, what Joanne was, Karen, is this Karen's? Who chose this one? I got mixed up.
Joanne.
Oh, Joanne. Okay, I forgot to put your name, Joanne. Sorry about this. Interesting artist. Tell us about this one, Joanne.
Yeah, this is Catherine Opie. And I actually chose this photograph because I've been, the other two photographs are from Nadar. I just, if you go to, I really don't want to talk about Kathy's work. I'm more interested in Nadar's work. If you can just, yeah, that one. So I just saw a correlation between the work that Kathy does in terms of some of her portraits, but Nadar, for me, is the portrait photographer that I just love. I don't do portraits, though. Before COVID, I was about to set upon doing a series of portraits of authors, and it kind of took a backseat because of COVID. And I'm back again thinking about this project, and I go back to him.
Tell us, like, yeah,
the simplicity of his work. I mean, you know, we're dealing with the 1850s here. he was quite a character. He did so many things in his lifetime. He flew in hot air balloons. He tried to take pictures from a hot air balloon, you know, really thinking about the large cameras that they had. You know, he went into the catacombs and almost ended up killing himself because he was using magnesium in a very contained environment. But he was, you know, he was an experimenter. And I just thought that I go back to his work because, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but the simplicity of his work really astounds me. The gestures that he lets people have, there's a freedom when he does his portraits with his subjects that I think is just really beautiful. So, and I found this one, this woman's gestures, hand gestures, as well as her expression was amazing. So, so I go back trying to think about keeping things simple, so.
And here's your name here, Joanne. I put it in the wrong one. So, and what about anything in particular about this one?
The same, you know, his lighting, this is, you know, Delacroix, just the freedom of movement that I think he allows his subjects to have, and the lighting, you know, it's just natural light. And, you know, I just enjoy looking at the whole image.
Anyone want to comment on any of these images or have a question for Joanne? Joanne, is photography your main art form?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I teach it and do it. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it is interesting because in the mid 1800s rather, where it would have had to, photography was so stiff and posed. And here you do have these subtle gestures. I see what you mean. They're quite incredible, right? And mysterious. It's like, what is that gesture with the hand, right?
Yeah.
Sort of implies, yeah.
He actually was a very interesting man because he wrote, I mean, he did poetry, he was interested in everything, but photography was the thing that stayed. But he actually ended up doing a series of self-portraits of himself, kind of turning around. And he actually put it together into this little animation of him twirling around laughing. I mean, who thinks about that? Like in the 1850s, the beginning of photography, and he's already like light years ahead of us, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he's quite a character. So, but you know, his portraits are.
Thank you, Joanne. Maybe I think what would be good is after people share, can you put the name in the chat? So if anyone wants to look it up, just type it in there for everyone, okay? And also, Soheen, maybe you could just write Paul Cezanne in there. Okay, great. Thank you, I think is Karen here? Someone had to cancel at the last minute. I think it was Karen, or are you here? Well, Karen chose Childe Hassam, an American impressionist, and he was actually working on the East End of Long Island. And then she also chose this artist who is pointillist, but I guess she couldn't make it today at the last minute. And Martin from Argentina.
Hey, Joyce. Joyce, this is John speaking.
John,
I'm sorry, I didn't put my video on today because I didn't send you anybody to discuss.
Okay.
So I just wanted to listen in. But I did want to tell you that yes, something came up with Karen, so she could not make it today. She wanted to say sorry she couldn't make it.
Okay, well, I am recording this, so maybe, you know, I can give her the link and she can see it later on, okay?
Okay, thanks. I'll let her know that.
Now, this is interesting. This is Martin from Argentina. Martin, are you there?
Yep, here I am.
What's the name of the artist?
Her name was Mariana Martinelli. She was one of my teachers at art school. I can type it here. She was Argentinian. Oops, sorry, here. And then there is a little Facebook, I think, that her family made with some of her images, and I chose three of them. It's difficult to choose one. And for me, they are like visual language lessons. Every of her paintings, you can see. Well, here she's working after Picasso's and mixing, overlapping one of her images, and then I think that she was influenced by Cubism. I think a painter from France, André Lot, maybe. I don't know if you know him. Let me.
No. Mhm.
André.
Delaunay. Yeah.
No. Here, there I wrote it. André Lotte. I think that he was famous here. He was a teacher in France, I suppose. And then I think there are influences of him in many of Argentinian painters, maybe from the middle of the 20th century. Yes.
Mhm.
I don't know. Well, here you can see these overlapping images and also the mix of colors, maybe complementary, cerulean with reds, some grays. And in the other ones that I sent, she maybe is balancing, I don't remember the ones that I chose. There, well, you can see their values working from dark to light and all these tones, shades, tints. That's why I say that these are like visual language exercises or lessons. And there you can see these also warm and cold colors. Yes, maybe achromatic and then more colorful ones. Yes.
And what is it about her, out of all the artists, that inspires you?
I don't know, because she, as a teacher, she didn't show her images, you see. But anyway, when I saw some of her exhibits or exhibitions, maybe it's like I grabbed some of her works, and then many times I use in my paintings some of her her influence. Yes.
Mhm.
But she, as a teacher, didn't tell us, well, this is the way you have to paint, and then she showed her works. No, never.
Uh-huh.
Okay. But in a way, her painting attracts me, even though it's not maybe so realistic. And by those times when I did art school, I liked more being realistic. But then I like her style. And there I can put in the chat this little Facebook where you can see more images, even the works that she does. For instance, after these women in the mirror, yes, with Picasso, when she works after that images, you can see maybe that she made, I don't know, like 10 different images, and in each one of them she's changing, I don't know, the patterns, the figures, the colors, the palette. Maybe she's using complementary colors. I don't know. She's like doing exercises. For me, they are all exercises, and they're amazing.
Yeah, there really are. Actually, this would be a good assignment for someone who is a beginner as well. Not that she's not, but
Yeah.
to take a famous painting and then improvise and use that as a starting point. That could be
Yeah.
really fun. Change the
Mhm.
colors, overlay another image on it. And
Yeah.
yeah, these are all cubist, including this one, because you can see the different viewpoints. The table is tilted up, right?
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
profile, she's frontal, right? She's twisted. Her body
Yeah.
is, there's like a subtle twisting, and the colors are beautiful.
Yes, these
you.
images, or
Mhm.
some of them are what they call simultaneous images, because they overlapped one or three different images, and maybe they did different compositions overlapping. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin from Argentina.
Thank you.
Nina, are you there? Nina? Maybe Nina couldn't make it at the last minute. This, of course, is Vermeer Girl with a pearl earring. And Nina chose these images. Maybe she'll come on later. Okay. So next we have Joyce from Canada. Then we have Cynthia Smith, Laz, and Teresa Smith. Okay. So Joyce is going to share right from her own book. Joyce from Canada. Okay, let me remove my spotlight. Go ahead.
Where am I?
Very nice, Joyce. Hold still, hold still. Okay, good. Tell us
Oh,
about.
yeah, I couldn't figure out where the camera was.
Mhm.
Darlene Kulig, she's a Canadian artist, and she does they call it semi-abstract spiritual landscapes. These are icebergs, and well,
Well, what
she
draws you to
started
the
painting.
image? Oh, I'm
What
sorry.
draws
Joyce.
me to it? Okay, she started drawing at 11. She was born in 1960. She says that she loves the simple shapes and bold colors. Painter in her explores light and rhythm, intellect versus intuitive, reveals life's force. She went to school. She got a what? Grant to go to school at one of the art schools in Toronto, and the grant she got was from Prisma National Art Scholarship for outstanding potential visual arts. And the little bubble. So after, so she opened her own graphic designer because that's what she went in for. And then she had the family and the husband, and so she was not really doing her art. And then in 1 year, her nephew died, her mother and her husband, and she started drawing as a way to deal with it. And this is what her other ones are much brighter, and the little bubbles are from. She went to France, and it was a time that she really enjoyed. And when she was drinking the champagne, little bubbles were coming. So all her pictures have little bubbles in them. Champagne bubbles. Am I allowed to show another one?
Well, here, because I want to make sure everybody has time. Joyce,
Okay,
first,
no problem.
wait, A+ on your presentation there. You gave us a lot of really good information and narrative. The image is incredible. But just because I'm not sure how many people want to share, let's come back to you. I'm going to make a note of it. How's that? Okay.
No
If
problem.
we have time,
No
we get
problem.
second shares. And I love that image, Joyce. And I love the way you told the story. And Joyce, can you write her name in the chat?
I can.
Okay, good. So let's see. Next is Cynthia. Cynthia, I believe you sent me an image via email. So let me find it. And then I will do a screen share. Hang on. Yes, here it is. Or there was a link. Hold on. Oh, okay. Let's see, Cynthia. Okay, Cynthia, go ahead. Tell us about this image here. Cynthia, you there? Where's Cynthia?
She's there. She's
Sorry, I'm,
she goes.
you think I'm an airhead. Anyway, Impressionism is my favorite movement. And as a result of that, I have chosen Gustav Caillebotte as my favorite artist. One might think that the water lilies of Monet and Renoir's portraits, you know, are they're all universal favorites, but Kayabata is my favorite. A background
Yeah,
on
like-
him is he was born into a wealthy family, and he trained originally as an engineer, but he became interested in painting, and he studied at the Beaux-Arts there in Paris, and he met Renoir and Monet, and he showed his works with the Impressionist exhibition in, I think it was 1876, I read. And so as a result of all of this, he became, with his wealth, his family's wealth, he became the chief organizer and the financial backer, actually, of the Impressionist exhibitions for several years following this. And so he also used his wealth to help purchase the works of other Impressionists because their works were not selling. And so he kind of kept them afloat in this movement that was kind of not grasped. It didn't follow the salon. And so he kind of helped these people. But my favorite painting of his is Paris Street, Rainy Day, that you can see on the screen. It was painted in 1877, and it is now in the collection of the Art Institute in Chicago. It's a large painting. There's a bench that you can sit in front of to look at it, and you can actually feel like you're part of this. The painting, as I said, was large. The figures are almost life size, and so the sensation that you get of this space and the unhurried movement of the individuals, and the light glistening off this rain-soaked pavement. You can see the shadows created by the man that's behind these two. You can see his shadows. You can see the shadow created by the light, the lamppost. It just gives you a feeling of a more leisurely pace. Nobody's rushing with their umbrella to get out of the rain or hurrying off to a meeting. And so these subdued colors of this palette also contributes to this feeling, because you don't have any of those slashes of harsh reds or yellows or blues. And so the painting inspires me to slow down, observe my surroundings, and just appreciate life. And as something else that goes with this, when my husband and I visited Paris, I wanted to see this scene for myself. And it was full of cars and business trucks parked along the side. There's no way you're going to get anything like this, if you want to capture that feeling today. So this is my choice of artists and paintings.
Cynthia, all of you are doing a great job with this. Very nice presentation.
Thank
And
you.
this is really interesting, this painting. It has a lot of the tenets of Impressionism. You could see the influence of photography, the way the person is cropped on the right, and capturing that moment, and the idea, like you said, that it's like that you used the word, I believe you said sensation. It's like we're in the picture, which is what the Impressionists were after. And then the idea in Paris that there were these wide boulevards and people could stroll down the street, right? And that was relatively new, right? That's not a medieval idea where the streets were really narrow. That's the modern city. It's a really cool painting. I've never seen this painting.
Oh my
It's really
God.
nice.
Oh, you must go to Chicago. It's right there. You walk in the door and it's right there, and it's huge.
Beautiful.
Oh, you must go, Joyce.
Okay,
You must.
now I'll put that
Everyone
on my,
must see this.
okay, we'll put that on our list, Cynthia. So let's see. Thank you so much. And
Thank
next,
you for having me.
oh, are you kidding? That was excellent. I'm enjoying this. So next up is Laz. Let me find Laz's presentation here. Hold on. Laz, here we go.
I
Oh,
just sent you a second one.
I see. I'm
If we
grabbing
have
it.
the time.
Hang on. No, we got it. We got it. Okay, so let me just get organized. We have time. But for the sake of fairness, can you choose one of these, one or two of them if you want to make a comparison, and then we'll come back.
Okay, the first two.
Okay, which should I start with?
That one.
Okay, we'll
the
start
one
with
next.
interesting. Okay, go ahead, Laz.
Okay, so I had, done traditional painting of objects and, even self-portraits. I had studied art in several places, and it was like technique, color, that type of thing, form. And then one day I see Frida Kahlo's work, and it was the broken column. And I stopped in my tracks. I mean, I get goosebumps just even thinking about it. And it changed everything, because I realized that it wasn't just about drawing images or doing technique or whatever. You could actually pour yourself into it. Now, of course, when you do art, you're pouring yourself into it anyway. Even if it's like an object, it's still, it's still part of you. But this was more direct. This was deeper. So anyway, I was studying children's art education. I just took a class, and we had to do masks for children, like if they were in a parade or something. So this is just a brown paper bag from the supermarket. And, I was inspired to do Frida with her lace garment that she had, which was a very traditional Mexican, Indian, of her indigenous Indian background, that they wore these traditional lace.
The Tehuana, yeah.
Yeah. And I had to figure out how to put it on a brown paper bag. So there's actually a piece of, board, poster board, whatever it is, over glued onto the face. And I think we just used poster paints. And unfortunately, it's getting destroyed, because you could see it's a little bit, the face is cracking a little bit. But I really enjoyed doing this. And you see Diego in her third eye. She's always thinking about him. And it was really interesting, because it looks like it's a simple thing, but it really wasn't. It was almost like experiencing something about her, something about what she was going through. And I just found it very interesting. And I also found it very much symbolic of like Egyptian art as well, for some reason. Just something about the shape of the eyes. And I don't know.
Mhm. I love the way you did the lace, Laz. Let's take a look at the picture that inspired it here, which is this one. Right? This is the original. This is, well, the reproduction of Diego on My Mind. But I love the way you did the lace and the mustache, like just with that line. And it's really I love the interpretation. Your interpretation is like really direct and bold. Very
Well,
cool.
I was also thinking of the fact that it was a child's mask. So I wanted to give it detail, but also simplify it as well.
Mhm. And I think you captured that. Excellent. We'll come back to you if we have time, okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So next we have Teresa Smith from Ohio. Teresa, how did you want to share your image? Screen share? Let me find Teresa. Hold on. Nice to see you. I'm going to
Hi,
make
if
you
you can-
co-host so you can screen share.
And you might want to plug your computer in. I noticed your battery was low.
You're the best.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Okay. And let's just do one or two at the most so everybody gets a chance. Okay.
So this is Emily Carr. She's a Canadian landscape artist and writer. She was born in 1871. and passed away in March of 1945. She was orphaned at 17. She got permission as an orphan to go off to art school across the country on the other side of Canada. And she really started out painting as a modernist and post-impressionist. But when she got out of school, she was just inspired by the indigenous people of the Pacific Northwest coast. And so she works in graphite, oil, watercolor, and she was a prolific sketcher and writer. And so her first piece that inspires me is the Western Forest. And this is oil on hardboard. I simply love how she just creates with shape and light and shadows. And this period of this style of painting came later in life, and they call it more of her mystic series. When she was out of art school, she literally bought herself a horse and rode off into the Northwest Territories of Canada alone, without a companion, and just to explore the wilderness and the indigenous population. The indigenous population really didn't trust anybody, but they embraced her and even gave her a name. And she lived amongst them often when she would create her works of art. And then her second piece that I love as well is this piece. And this is simply the Forest, British Columbia. And this again, it's oil on canvas. Her patterns.
Yeah, no, it's gorgeous. Teresa, did they make a movie? Was there a movie made about her?
I don't believe so, but I'm not for sure about that. So I'll research that. You can still purchase her books. She's an amazing artist. She was friends with the group of 7, and they always told her that she was, that they looked at her as an equal, yet of all the years that she traveled and painted with them, they never invited her to become a part of the group.
Mm-hmm.
And she is the highest selling artist in Canada, female artist. I think her piece recently sold in the last couple of years, $3.9 million.
Wow. You know what? That reminds me, her work reminds me of George O'Keeffe a little bit.
Mhm.
I just want to see, someone wrote a message. Emily Carr House is just down the street from me, Leela says, 207
Oh,
Government Street. Okay. Okay, we'll
oh,
do a little share on that image later. Well, I'll pull it up right now. Wait, where is it? Right here. This is the house. Interesting. You can visit this house?
I don't
Leela-
think they can see it because I'm screen sharing.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay, I'll put it off to the side. Okay, sorry about that. Okay.
And so I know you said only 2 pieces, but I wanted to share this piece because this is one of her most well-known pieces, and it was recently due to honoring the indigenous people that they used to just call it the Indian Church, and now it's the church at Iroquois Village.
Well, those paintings are so beautiful. I love that, Teresa. Really beautiful.
And then this is her big raven.
Okay, let's thank you so much, Teresa. So very good. Oh,
You're
you're
welcome.
so organized. Good job.
Sorry.
Okay, no,
Let me
all
get-
good, but let's see, we do need to give somebody else, it's other people,
Yeah.
I don't know how many people, and we could always come back for second shares. So let's see, who else would like to share? Anyone? Oh, let me pull up the picture of the house. Thank you so much. That's incredible. I learned something new today. And this is interesting. So who shared the picture? Is this open to the public?
Yes, it's open to the public. It's a museum, and there's her work and all kinds of information about her.
Interestingly, where is it located?
on Government Street in Victoria, BC.
Wow. Learned something new. Thank you. So let's see, we have a number of our participants who didn't get a chance to share. Is there anyone else who would like to share an artist who inspires you? Let's see who's on here. I saw
Barbara
Barbara.
was waving.
Barbara Charlton. Barbara Charlton. Okay.
Haven't seen you for a while.
Nice to see you. Where are you zooming in from, Barbara? Remind me.
Cumbria in England.
Nice. Okay, this is wonderful. So which artist inspires you?
Well, I didn't know what happened in this virtual cafe, so I was just came to it, and I just had an exhibition that I went to this year, and I thought, well, they've probably never heard of this person, so I'll just like to show it to you.
Sure.
It's Wilhelmina Barnes Graham, who was an English artist down in St. Ives, which is down in Cornwall. She did most of her painting down there, and she moved from abstraction, from realism to abstraction, and that was what her exhibition was about. Well, that's what it showed. That's the way that it was curated, and it was really interesting. And I've only got a couple of things to show. One of them is this is one of the abstracts that she did, and this is the seashore and the rocks. She did a lot on the seashore. She was a beautiful sketcher, drawings. She did a lot of glaciers, and I just thought I'd like to share this with you. And she moved to real abstraction. Now, this is a more of an abstract than the previous one. And she got even more wilder than this. Some of her later paintings were just brilliant colored dots on plain backgrounds. And so she moved a long way, and I that's what I like about her, because she was adventurous. She didn't stop. She just carried on.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's what I like.
But when was she working? What year?
In the 40s, 50s, and 60s, 70s. I'm not quite sure when she died. She was born in 1912.
Okay, so she would be in the same era as Pollock. Yeah.
Yeah, this work is 1958.
Yeah, Pollock was born in 1912, so she's part of that era.
Yeah, but of course an English tradition, and I think a lot of English abstract painters, even when they got to be abstracts, they were so inspired by the landscape.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Interesting. I love this. Thank you. I'm learning so much. And thank you. Who else would like to share? Anyone else? Let's see. Okay, Roy, did you want to share something, Roy? Roy is a writer. Okay, so who would like to continue? Joyce, did you want to show us a couple of more images there? Okay.
Yes. Okay. I almost did Emily Carr too. It's her life history.
Interesting.
Yeah, I really love her. Where am I? So this is more of Coolidge's work. So she went from the very, but my favorite. Salmon, right? Salmon. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Never works when you're in a hurry. It's disappeared.
Do we come back?
Yeah, come back. I'll think.
Okay, we'll come back. Anyone else want to share? Well, Joyce is organizing, which is fine, Joyce, no worries. Anyone else have, didn't get it? Oh, what about who did Frida Kahlo? Was that Laws?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go back. Let's hear about the broken column. Let me pull it up. And this is such a powerful painting. Oh, yeah, amazing. Hang on, Laws. And I would say also Frida Kahlo is one of the most important artists in my own life as well. So Laws, now what about this painting? What inspired you at that time?
I think the honesty of the tragedy of what happened to her. And, you know, she's showing orthopedic, you know, hardware and symbolism. And I mean, it's just so incredible. And, you know, I've known people that have had situations like this. So I've seen firsthand these kinds of orthopedic situations. And I was just taken aback by someone painting this and, you know, exposing that sort of thing that normally people who go through things like this, you know, they don't want to show that, you know, they don't want to expose that. It's not popular, you know, it's not even popular. That's the wrong word.
Well,
It's just,
yeah, I think it is a good word, actually.
she made something like that, you know, she normalized it, you know, because traditionally people who had any kind of illness or, you know, disformed body or anything like that, you know, they were hidden away. Truthfully, they were, you know, and it was like a medieval torture chamber type of thing. And she put it out there and she normalized it and actually made it something, even though, you know, she's suffering, she made it into something absolutely beautiful. And I applaud her for that. You know, I think her mission was huge.
Very well said, Laws. Very well said. Yeah. It takes a lot of courage to do that, especially in that era, you know, in the 30s and 40s. We're living in a time where people are a little more open-minded or a little more accepting of people who have physical challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, it really was sort of, people would be ashamed. You're right. Right? People would be ashamed if they had a physical disability, you know?
Well, even, you know, orthopedic hospitals and things like that in that time period, I mean, you know, it was just a different world. And she was just always her own person. She really didn't care what anybody thought of her or what, you know, if somebody would like it or not like it. I mean, it was, you know, she was who she was. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I think, you know, what's so interesting, what I love about art, all of these artists, not only is the art itself incredible, but each one has, it's like a social, emotional component or an aspect of character that we can learn from, right? There's a really good book. I love it. It's called What Would Frida Do? And it goes into so much detail about so many aspects of her character. And it's written in kind of a fun way of like, what would Frida do about fashion? What would Frida do about love and food and all these different things? It's really good. You would enjoy that. I'm sure other people would as well. So anyone else, let's see. Joyce, we will return back to Canada. So hang on. Okay.
Upside down. I just love this. It's so Canadian, and the colors like the salmon and yeah, I just
Now, what do you mean it's so Canadian? What do you mean by that? Because I'm not
it's
familiar.
almost like there's okay, the mountains along the coast and the salmon coming, making their way up the river from the ocean to spawn. And we got all the forest and the trees, and it's almost like the color of the sky. It's giving a hint of the northern lights.
Very nice, Joyce. Good description
And she's
too.
got her champagne, and I just love the colors. I bought this calendar just because it so makes me feel good.
Good. Any other ones you want to show us?
Of course. Oh, we did that one. And this. There's this one. It's up to here. Yeah. It's a bridge. Where is it? The bridge across the Fraser River, which if you lived in BC, you would know, but yeah. And I love this one too, the colors.
Very nice.
I know the bridge, so it's like, yeah.
Yeah, well,
And
they're
it
really,
and
they're
swooping
uplifting.
lines. Yeah, like the swooping lines, like everything is like just flowing. Just like when she started drawing again after parts of her 3 family members died, she said she had no idea where she was going. She just started putting stuff down, and it morphed into these type of things. She's very famous in Canada. This has nothing, well, I don't know, but this is a piece I did.
I love it,
couple of
Joyce.
weeks
Oh, yeah, that's so good. You did that during one of our classes, right? That's
Yeah,
like,
and that's
that's really beautiful, Joyce. That's
Thank you.
incredible. Now, can you tell me the name of the artist again? What was the Canadian artist you were showing?
I'm so bad remembering things. I have to find the front so we can get things. Darlene Schulig.
Okay, Darlene Schulig. Okay.
Aulig.
Okay. And last but not
Okay.
least, I saw a message. Somebody who said Van Gogh is your favorite artist. Who said that? Cece. So
I did, yeah.
Okay, so Cece, you want to tell us in your own words, what do you love about Van Gogh?
For me, it is, so I'll backtrack. I did his immersive last year in my area. So I'm in San Diego, California. I went twice, and it was truly a moving experience because I felt like I was living in his brain, if you will, or his environment. And so what I like about him is that he's an artist who struggled, and struggled trying to find his purpose in life, but he kept going. And so things were not always great, but he persevered. And so he is currently very influential in a lot of our art, in terms of the brushstrokes that people now use and see and don't even think about twice. But generally just basically getting his artwork out there and done no matter what the costs were. So he's like, to me, he's just discovery and new things and perseverance, even though he ended his own life. That to me is not the part that I focus on.
Yeah, that's a good point. And now there's some controversy over whether or not he actually ended his life or if he was murdered. There's a really amazing, what's the name of who knows the name of that, Finding Van Gogh or something? It's an animation. And what is it called? It investigates the death, but in an animated form that is like unbelievable. So if you could see that movie, who knows the name of it? I forget. At any rate, it's just the animation is incredible. And it goes into a lot of detail about investigating how did he actually die. But I agree with you. He is so spiritual and so driven. I think all of these artists, there's an aspect of they can go beyond their kind of physical circumstances into this other realm. That's like the highest level of being human, in my opinion, right?
And
Yes.
Joyce, I believe you can find that on your Hoopla. If you belong to a digital library, your regular library, go on Hoopla and you should be able to find it.
Very good. And in New York, we call that a canopy for the New York library system, and it's all free. Thank you. Loving Vincent. Thanks, Martin. Thank you so much. Loving Vincent. Not finding Vincent. I really enjoyed this. This was so good, hearing from all of you and all of your insights, and like learning about these Canadian artists who I knew nothing about. Everybody, thank you so much. And thank you for all the work you put into today's sharing. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Joyce.
Thank
for
you.
opening
Thank
this up.
you.
Thank you.